Well, welcome to the London Stock Exchange. We're here with Toby Hall, the CEO of MMX, one of our issuer companies. Toby, congratulations on today's launch. Can you tell me a little bit about Minds & Machine Group Limited, MMX?
Sure, Robert, thank you for those kind words. It is an honour to be at the exchange. Just really as a little bit of background, we're here obviously to celebrate this marriage of the World Wide Web and blockchain and creating a naming convention. But really the reason or the background to our company is we are one of the leading portfolios of these things called top-level domains. And over the last 2 years since taking over this business, we've taken a business that had this great portfolio of assets and have really been working hard on understanding where the growth opportunities are for new naming conventions. And a lot of that growth has been driven from China and the Asia markets, Japan and China. And today we've taken a business that when we took over only had 250,000 names registered across the portfolio, and today has close to 1.9 million names registered. And a business that was trading effectively at a $17 million loss and turning that into profit. So the background of our business is coming in, understanding where markets are changing and making the domain name system relevant. And so that's a little bit on the background of Minds Machines.
You've turned the business around. You've got a strong core business generating recurring revenue from name registrations on the World Wide Web. Why the .lux project?
That is a question many have asked. Well, just to give you, I know you're a mathematician and a highly numerate, as are most listeners to the LSEG channel. The World Wide Web today, in round numbers, has about 300 million domains registered, of which roughly half of those sit within VeriSign and the other half in country codes. That marketplace is growing by about 3% in gross. Our sector of the new GTLDs has grown tremendously quickly. We've seen as a sector about 25 million registrations. So we have been really innovating the World Wide Web, but not necessarily adding to the top line growth of the World Wide Web. Outside of that, there have been these other protocols that have been emerging. And really the two that I think listeners will be most aware of are the IoT, the Internet of Things, where according to Gartner, there's going to be 20 billion devices connected by 2020. But outside of that, the blockchain, which is this incredibly disruptive technology, which creates lots of opportunities. But I don't think people are necessarily aware of the speed of adoption. And again, just to give some numbers around this, today, Ethereum, as the fastest growing single blockchain, has 43 million identifiers on it, achieved in 3 years. Gross that out for the whole blockchain, and we're talking about close to 200 million. That world has no established naming convention. They are simply all alphanumeric strings. We see significant opportunity and benefit in establishing a naming protocol whereby, in the same way the World Wide Web is essentially IP addresses and numbers, bringing the same protocols and leaning them into the blockchain. And .lux has been established as the first top-level domain to do that. So you put one name into the same name, robert.lux into the World Wide Web, and it will resolve to your information page. Put robert.lux, and it might relate to your secure contracts or what other device or data storage that you've decided to associate to that name. It might even be your wallet. So that is what why .lux is, we believe, an important step forward in the evolution of the internet.
Yes, no, thank you. For our viewers, can you explain the Ethereum blockchain 40-character address?
Yeah, sure.
And why having a name resolving service makes everything easier?
That is a very good question. So blockchains, as each identity is created, they are typically hexadecimal. So think of a character A to F as a letter, and then numbers 0 through to 9. And that has become the protocol, and no one's essentially questioned it. But we knew our journey was the first time I got my wallet address and wanted to use it. It was very obvious there were some obvious advantages that could be achieved, and the most important is one of trust and transparency. We know the blockchain is second to none in the sense of security and being able to disrupt how traditional supply chains work, and obviously how two parties transact. But when it comes to trust and transparency, that part of the particular part of the jigsaw hasn't been addressed. And we were delighted to team up with Ethereum, as I say, the largest blockchain, to be our cornerstone partner in working on an initiative whereby multiple blockchains will form part of this naming standard.
And blockchain is much more than just a wallet for cryptocurrency.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about smart contracts and how businesses can be built around them.
That is, so just to put it into perspective, in 2018 alone, 2.1 billion invested by corporations, really exploring how this technology can be integrated into their existing businesses. Is this a threat or is it an opportunity? None of that investment is looking at cryptocurrency. So we can see it from whether it be from food supply chains, trading platforms, obviously the many banking groups within private blockchains that have already been established. So this is really being embedded into the infrastructure of organizations. But as you embed a technology into organizations, ultimately it has to interact with consumers and the end user. And we believe as soon as you get into that space, naming conventions and the ability of trust that a name gives you becomes dominant.
Thank you. Toby, many businesses are still assessing their strategy to blockchain. Why should they be registering their names on .lux ahead of completing that process?
There are really two main reasons, and one is simply defensive. We know what happened with the World Wide Web, where it was a new technology, people were unaware of it, and many organizations lost their naming rights in what was an emerging technology of the World Wide Web. We really are working very hard with commercial partners to ensure that doesn't happen in this environment. So there is one piece which is simply about a defense from a defensive, an IP protection play. What's more interesting for us, though, are those organizations who already have R&D projects underway, and they naturally are looking at conventions to base these projects around. So it's very encouraging, the support we're seeing for this. Because remember, we haven't even launched, we don't formally launch until November the 6th. So yes, the traction and support we're seeing ahead of launch has been very reassuring.
Thank you. What comes next?
What comes next is really, first of all, we are looking forward to the formal general sale of names. Businesses are able to register their names from next week, ahead of the sort of general launch. But really, I think the narrative is going to be one around more blockchains joining what we would position as a .lux standard. And certainly from talking with at ICANN yesterday, which is our governing body for the domain naming system, there is genuine interest about creating and taking a leading place in creating structure in an environment that technically there is no governing body to. So we're very pleased to be able to bridge these gaps, ICANN to blockchain, obviously technology to corporates. and it's a great honour to be recognised by the invitation today to open the exchange.
Well, Toby, thank you very much. For interested parties that want to register their name, how can they register name.lux?
Very simply, go to www.join.lux. That's .luxe. And there we list all the retail partners. Today, we only announced this initiative to our retail partners mid-August, and today we have over 70 global partners from around the world supporting us, most notably Alibaba, who joined us today on the opening of this of today's market.
And Toby, thank you very much. Congratulations on today's successful market open. We wish you great success. Congratulations.
Many thanks, Robert. Thank you so
much. Well done.
Thank you.